Eid-El-Fitr, the Islamic festival to celebrate end of Ramadan fast, is upon us, and a hitch-free celebration is desirable for us as a country. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Faruk Yahaya, who felicitated with troops on the occasion, has directed them to eliminate many bandits, kidnappers and terrorists as possible and recover as much weapons and ammunition from criminal elements. In a statement to the army formations and units across the country, General Yahaya urged field commanders to redouble their efforts in ongoing operations, saying the best Salah gifts he expected from them is to eliminate as many bandits, kidnappers and terrorists as possible. General Yahaya, the Chief of Army Staff, giving the marching orders to his boys that will be his best Salah gifts. Go after these bandits, go after the kidnappers, go after these terrorists and neutralize them.
Sometimes I wonder if we're not going around in circles. I mean, less than 7 days ago or thereabouts, Mr. President gave a similar, marching order, direct, asking the military chiefs to free everyone who is in the kidnappers den in this country. And here we have the army chief issuing the same command. Sometimes you wonder if this is not just for you and I to consume, or just for optics. So yeah, it's a good thing, but we want to see action. We've had enough of talks about what needs to be done. Mr. President has said that repeatedly, almost sounding like a broken record, and here we have the military chiefs repeating the same thing. Nigerians just want to feel and sense security all over them. We want to go to bed with our eyes closed. We don't want to continue to hear about, incidents of people being kidnapped, children, in kidnappers' den, kids being born while in the kidnappers den and all that. So we want to see action. We agree that, all around us, there's a lot of insecurity. The military appears to be stretched and all that. But we want to begin to see action. Can we see a sense, a different kind of strategy, that would begin to take out the terrorists, the kidnappers, the bandits, wherever they are. But we seem to, just be paying lip service to entire thing, and you wonder if there's a coordinated arrangement, to get this matter resolved. I don't see much, happening in terms of, real efforts to deal with this matter. Because every day you get to hear about the same thing happening all over the place. If people are not being kidnapped in the northwest, people are being killed in the northeast, north central, southwest, and even the southeast. Yes, it's a tough task, but that is why we have put our men right there to take care of us. We commend what's been done, but we think that there's a lot more that needs to be done to give Nigerians a sense of security. And that's what we want, because the entire thing is hurting us, it's hurting the economy. It's affecting investor confidence in the country. All right? A lot is happening. It's affecting food insecurity, creating food insecurity and all that. People can't go to farms. And so what we thought was, a little challenge has grown into a festering sore. And we can't continue to live that way. So we want to encourage our soldiers all over the country. We appreciate what they are doing, but we think that there's a whole lot more that needs to be done, to give Nigerians a sense of security.
Those terrorists that abducted people from the train that was going between Abuja and one of the women actually put to bed, and we saw a picture of a new baby and everything, and I was terrified that we're counting days, and Nigerians, and we've almost forgotten those people.
I've been taken of that little baby. It's
born into crisis.
It's traumatic. Who are the nurses or the midwives that delivered her? How are they going to cope? How will the mother cope in the bush breastfeeding this little baby? What kind of word has the little baby been introduced into.
Shows that these terrorists are not human beings. They should have just left this woman.
AK-47, and all sort of things. What of Medicare? What of antenatal care? How on earth can one imagine this happening in any country? And all these things, that took place, not outside Nigeria, within Nigerian territory. And we could not discover where they are. We could not discover what is, where they are being kept. So, and the people that were kidnapped, not 10, not 20, hundreds of people that are kidnapped all over the country, kept in different places within Nigeria. And you have surveillance aircraft, you have drones that could pick where they are. They don't have bunkers. They are not even in tropical forest. They are in savannah areas. So the whole thing is sickening. I watch that thing and I look at the babies. It's traumatic. So like my brother said, the chief of army staff, what he has said is a good inspiration to boost the morale of soldiers. He also spoke about welfare package and all that for soldiers. It's a ritual statement. We have had it over. In fact, last December, the same thing was said. Last Eid-El-Fitr, the same thing was said. Last 2000, almost every year. It does not translate. They must say something. But in terms of what is on the ground, Nigeria is. We are worried about what is going on. We are worried. Keeping a woman to even deliver and then showing the baby shows how wicked, how cruel these human beings are. And I think that what has happened regarding this woman that gave birth is a call to the Nigerian government that they don't need to joke with this thing any longer. They need to step up the campaign against terrorism.
Okay, we have another caller. Ade is calling us from London.
Good afternoon. My brother there. You are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Regarding the APC Jonathan issue, please help me to advise the former president to maintain his integrity and his good name, and don't muddy his name. Very, very important, because Malam Boni is the one that fed this baby trap for APC. He wants to bring Jonathan. He didn't do it secretly, openly. He had meeting with him last year. He wants to bring Jonathan in order to try the effort of the Southern people in order to climb the presidency, particularly Jagaban. He doesn't want Jagaban to be there, so he's bringing Jonathan. Jonathan should not submit himself to be used to deny the South their own opportunity, because his name will go down negatively forever. So it should not be used. It should not allow Manaburi to use him. So, for example, look at Southeast. They have not produced any president in Nigeria, and they all voted for Jonathan throughout 8 years of Jonathan's reign, or 6 years he was there. They voted for him massively. But even for the sake of Southeast.
Ade, thank you. Thank you. And if you look at the response rate so far, since this insurgency started, since banditry started, we've not recorded much in terms of rescuing people, rescuing captives, rescuing Nigerians that have been abducted. And when you hear the police saying that, oh, they've rescued so, when you ask the victims, they will say no, they paid ransom and they were released, and police met them. And no, not that. We've not had records of tidy operations. Look at all the secondary school girls, students that have been abducted in Kaduna and Dapchi and what have you. So I don't know, maybe we're not up to this task in terms of rescue operation.
Ayo, let me admit that is why we have a huge concern. That's why Nigerians are crying out. That's why we come here almost every day. And a dominant issue remains that of insecurity in our land. Okay, first, let me also, let me concede that in the war against Boko Haram in the northeastern parts, we seem to have made progress. But in terms of being able to apply or deploy intelligence to hold or pin down those who are behind this incident, we really don't have any records. I mean, we can't lay claims to having killed the leader of Boko Haram or his the lieutenants who succeeded him. We cannot lay claims to having captured and prosecuted any known, bandit leader. And there are very familiar names, the Torges of this world and the rest of them. And you wonder if these guys are invisible. Ayo, that's your concern. That's my concern. And that's the concern of Nigerians. Those we see paraded almost every day on national television look like, foot soldiers. Permit me, hungry lads who just, go on errands. The major backers, we don't have access to them. And that is why, oftentimes, when,
bandit leaders.
None.
Of this world.
None. It's only when we're able to pin people like that down and bring them to justice that we can begin to celebrate. So at the moment, we're just fed with, clusters of arrests of minors here and there and all that stuff. And if the larger concern also remains the kind of feedback that we get from state henchmen. I mean, we've heard about in Zamfara, for instance, district heads or leaders, traditional, rulers being deposed and all that. We don't get to hear about prosecution because if you depose somebody, you are assuming that he has committed crime for which he can be investigated, and prosecuted. We would like to see what becomes of these, depositions, trials and the rest of them. We can't seem to hold on to anything, and that is why oftentimes you get to hear, people speak up about lack of political will on the part of government to want to deal with these issues. All right. Once we had, the governor of Zamfara State telling us that he knows those who are behind, banditry and terrorism in the states and all that, and even threatened to mention names. As we speak, not one name has been mentioned. Even the federal government talks about, knowing those behind them, threatening to take them to trial and all that stuff. But we don't get to see anything at the end of the day. And you wonder if this fight is really genuine. So the government has a lot to do in terms of convincing the people that it really means well in terms of, executing this fight against terrorism, against banditry, and other related crimes. We want to see people, brought to justice. We're not seeing, those we get to see every day are almost inconsequentials. Those who are not in a position to do anything, but who, more like errand boys and girls, as it were. And then you ask yourself, is this not about, intelligence? Adele, you spoke about, what happened in kidnappers then. Do we have a thriving industry as it appears, where you have doctors who can, visit the kidnappers right there in the so-called bushes, deliver, pregnant women, return to town? You understand? So you ask yourself, if mere mortals like you and I are able to foray into these territories, then what about government? What about our men in uniform? What are they doing? How much of intelligence is at play here? So you wonder if this is not about the lack of political will to go the extra mile and deal with this, with this challenge once and for all.
I have Ibrahim from Kaduna State calling us. Thank you for joining us, Ibrahim.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your two guests over there. My name is Ibrahim from Kaduna. You see, the issue on the bomb on the bomb burner this afternoon is quite interesting. Terrorists, they say? Am I communicating? Yes. The issue of terrorism in this country and elimination, it has been overdue. It has been long overdue. You see, if we want to do this thing squarely, I believe we will do it. In a situation whereby where we are buying this weapon from, and they are giving us a directive. They are giving us a directive that no, we should not use it on social. Why? This is a factor and really lacuna. This is the area that many of us will have to look into. If something like this comes about, how will you operate? Not that these people, these security agents, or those in the front side are not able to get to these people. They know where they are. But giving a direction, no, don't go there. Don't do this. That is a serious force on us. It is dragging us back. That is the area that we, Nigeria, and your leaders, have to look into. Why you guys are giving all them? There is another lacuna. The second issue is this. These terrorists They are not human beings. Even the new baby child they give birth in this holy month, it is a way for them to just release those people for the sake of that little innocent baby. That is my cry to that. Let them use this one as just a way out for themselves so that they will be able to cleanse up themselves. If not, this is a very serious. And Nigeria, look, we have a long way to go and we will succeed. To me, we will succeed. This only month that we are trying to exist from will be a blessing for this country. They don't continue to guide us, lead us, and give our leaders the wisdom to do what is right and go to the length to do what is right for us. Because Nigeria will never fall. All the enemies of this country, they will be the ones to fail. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to get my voice. Bye. I've been Ibrahim from Kaduna.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your contribution. Because let's look at what is at the root of this. Yes, we said this. Some of these terrorists migrated from the J, some of them from Libya, some of them from Mali, but ultimately they kept festering because there's a kind of fertile ground that was that's been encouraged through insecurity, through unemployment of our youths. Some of our youth are now active members in the thriving industry of banditry. If they are saying we have over 30,000 bandits in Zamfara State alone, you can imagine the number of our youths, unemployed graduates, or people that didn't even see the four-wall schools, the imagery that has, constituted themselves to be bandits.
Well, I think it's convenient for us to say the bandits, the terrorists are not Nigerians. That was what we used to say some 6 years ago. But it makes it worse. Even if that is the situation, there are people who come from Mali, from Niger, and they now use your country,
have a free reign,
as the base to launch attack on your own people. But the truth of the matter is that there is homegrown environment where they can thrive. That is why they are operating here effectively. And the conditions just make it a fertile ground for them to mushroom. If we have been very careful, if we had seen, the signs several years back, and we are taking proactive measures, what's happening will not have happened at all. Because some 8 years ago, we started talking about 10 million children out of school, talking about orphans, talking about children that are begging on the streets. And when people are pushed to the extreme, it brings out acts of aggression. Even in the southwest here, southeast, where you don't have pronounced cases of terrorism, you see acts of aggression everywhere. So it's very easy to recruit people that have no jobs, that have no access to education, that are hopeless. They have no access to livelihood. And I think the economic conditions in our country make it very easy for them. But even then, that is not an excuse. It means it's a challenge that we need to overcome if we are determined to do so. Because if you see what is going on in other countries, Chad, Mali, they are also dealing with those terrorists, and they are recording successes. In our own case, we depend much on buying huge equipment. Now we are expecting the DA-47 surveillance. We are going to buy more tracker, helicopter, beechcraft. We have just bought F-16 and all that. But buying equipment, spending a lot of money on equipment does not translate into defeating terrorism if you don't deal with the root cause, which is poverty, which is lack of education, which is access to opportunities. And that is why, if you look at Nigeria, the Northeast has the highest number of children that are out of school. And that's why this terrorism thrives, followed by the Northwest. That's why these areas have become the hotbeds, for extremism. And I think, the statistics have been there for us, except that we fail. In other countries, once there is statistics, you call the Director General of the Office of Statistics. When you are holding FEC meeting, he is there. You tell him to tell the country the implication of having 10 million people and what are we going to do. So we have taken precautionary measures some 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. But now it's never too late. Like my friend said, we need to rely on intelligence. And intelligence is not just about Directorate of Military Intelligence. It's not just about DSS. It's about the people. You need to engage people to be able to provide you adequate information on the movement of terrorism, of terrorists, on where they hibernate, on their modus of operations. It's the people that can give you this information because they live among the people. They are not ghosts. So if there is no a constructive engagement with the people, you just assume that only the army can deal with the problem. We are not going to make any headway.
All right.